Hey y'all, it's your girl Eman Rimawi Doster here with another episode of my so-called disabled life, where we talk about all the shenanigans that happen when you're disabled, and all the shenaniganery. I've been making up words a lot lately, y'all. Just go with me. It doesn't matter if it's not a real word. None of the words in the dictionary are real words. They all got created somehow. So the shenaniganery with people interacting with us and our disabilities and all that stuff. So yeah. So also, happy New Year, y'all. And I hope y'all had a wonderful holiday time off. We're gonna have so many more fun episodes going out through this year. So I thought I'd start off with a little fun episode with my homegirl Amar Sharif. We met on social media, which is super duper cool. She does all kinds of fun things in the community. Such a beautiful wheelchair user, and I can't wait to have a fun conversation with her so that y'all can get to know her too, just like with everyone else. So please welcome Amar.
Hi, how are
Hey girl,
you?
how you doing today?
Good.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really and truly appreciate it. So I start off every interview with folks asking just a general like, who are you and why do you do what you do? So who is Amar and why do you do what you do in the world?
Yeah, so I am a woman with a disability in New York, and um I am the founder of Sexy Disabled Folks, which is a mainly a website and an Instagram page aimed to close the gap on inequalities within the uh, sexual health resources and services for disabled people, which it originated as a master's in social work thesis project. Um, because I really like this is something that has affected myself as well as people in my life. So I figured I'd be the one to bring awareness to that. And I hold the title of Miss Wheelchair in New York 2024, which is crazy that it is 2 years ago. So yeah.
That's so awesome. So when you were getting your master's in social work, did you encounter any issues having a disability, but also navigating the social work world?
Yeah, so I originally started the program in 2018, and that was pre-pandemic, and it was a very different experience when I had finished it in 2022, which was in the middle of it. So my experience pre-pandemic was, I would say, more difficult than during the pandemic because everything was in person and there were essentially no excuses as to why a person couldn't make it to their class or their internship hours and all of the requirements that needed to be done to earn the degree. So when the pandemic happened, everything became virtual, and that actually made things easier for myself because I have spina bifida, which is a physical disability, and so traveling and just making the extra effort to do the things that are required of the program. Um, a lot of that was removed once the pandemic hit, and it just made it so much easier to accomplish the things that needed to get done.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you on that. When I was told for years before that virtual work and virtual like access and participation was just not possible. We can't possibly do it. And then as soon as COVID hit, everybody was like, "Hey, let's go online." And I'm like, "Wait, I thought y'all couldn't do it. I thought this was too hard." And now I do the most of my things virtually. And I'm just like, "Wow, you guys. So you just didn't want to make it accessible. Gosh, gotta love that little closeted ableism that comes out in all these very weird ways that we can't always see coming because folks are like, oh no, you got to be in school, you got to go in person, that's how you learn. But it's just like, wait a minute, not everybody learns like that. That's not accessible for everybody. And if you want to make things fully accessible and equitable for everyone, that means you have to offer multiple ways of participation. And I often find, like, with, like, especially with disability, they just want to put us in a box. Like, everything looks the same, everything shows up the same, everything's the same. It's like, no, no, we are all individuals, just like y'all are all individuals. So why can't we have things catered just like y'all got it? So it's so I yeah, I'll get off my soapbox.
Absolutely. And I want to add that my current job is completely virtual, and I have the luxury of doing that because I am a therapist, and um, that is an option. Whereas a lot of times, because they consider the pandemic to be over, but COVID is not over with at all. So a lot of the workplaces are requiring people to go back into the office, and that's just not fair.
Not totally. And it's just like, wait a minute, we showed you guys in the very beginning that we can actually do this remotely. Is it? And I honestly think it's sort of capitalism sneaking up in there, being like, we got those office spaces, we got to pay the rent. And it's just like, I don't care about your office space and I don't care about your rent. I care about my health and my safety. And clearly you don't. That's great. I love it so much. And it's just like, why? Why, you guys? Um, that is so wow. That is, I am so glad that you have that option because so many of us don't have that option, and I feel grateful for having that option as well. Um, so has it been difficult? And I know for myself, it has been, like, getting into spaces with a physical, visible disability, and getting equitable treatment beyond your social work degree, like having people, like, be weird with you or interact with you in strange ways or treat you like a child or like a non-person, like your furniture. Like, what have those experiences been like?
Yeah, so I have worked jobs that were in person before this, and a lot of times in interviews, I have chosen to disclose the disability because, I mean, they're going to figure it out eventually. There's no way around it. I'm either a ambulatory wheelchair user where I am either in the chair or I'm using my crutches. So it's very visible. And so and if I chose not to disclose it and then I would show up, they would be very awkward about it. And it was such an uncomfortable experience because if I have the qualifications to do a job, why should my physical limitations be an issue? I took the social work licensing exam 7 times before I passed it. So I worked very hard to get to where I am today, and to be, um, I guess, rejected from so many jobs because of that is ridiculous. Like, it's 2026, get it together.
No, I totally feel you on that. And one of the things that is always so annoying for me is when I see, and not to say that disabled folks only need to be in, like, disability equity or ADA compliance or making sure things are accessible. But oftentimes I see a lot of people who don't have a disability in these roles, excuse my French, being butterheads, not actually showing up for the community in ways that are, like, necessary or equitable or fair. And I'm always like, wow, are a lot of the folks that are in this space just performative about their allyship, or is it what is it? I don't know. So what's your take on that? Like, not wanting to hire folks with disabilities, even if you work in a space where you're helping disabled folks.
Yeah, I mean, I have always felt that like disabled people have just as much, or if not more, things to contribute in especially a setting that is serving the disabled population in a way that, like, because we understand things from personal experience, whereas, like, an able-bodied or a non-disabled person just knows things based off of what they hear or see on, like, the internet, where things are not always accurate. And it's like you said, we're all individual people. So even two people with the same disability do not have the same experiences. For example, although I am very white passing, I am Arab, and I think that if I was more Arab presenting, I would have very different experiences in how I were treated, than I am now.
Yeah, that whole oof. I feel like there's so many issues, like not even just in the disabled community, but just in the world of how we treat people when they look a certain way. And if you don't think they are that, like I'm both Black and Palestinian, but I look racially ambiguous. So people say the most wild things around me thinking that I'm not connected to them at all, and I'm just like, "Whoa, why am I the person that you're saying these things to? Don't God, no, thank you." But there are even issues in our communities. Years ago, I was reaching out, and I won't shout y'all out because I'm not gonna shame anybody. But there was this big Arab organization that I was trying to bring some, resources to and help people out who use paratransit. And when I reached out, they were like, "We don't have anyone with a disability here." And I was like, "Wait a minute, y'all. Let me okay. Take a step back. Let me list out every dang condition known to man, both physical and mental, and see if that does something to say, oh, wait, maybe we do." And then they were like, "Oh, yeah, we've got some people that has that stuff going on. They're not disabled." And I was just like, "You guys, I guess I gotta come in and do a disability 101 workshop for y'all because clearly you don't recognize not only the nuance in disability, but also the dynamicness of disability in all kinds of people. It all shows up so differently in our bodies. So it's just like it's just wild to me that, it is 2026 and we are still dealing with so much like othering in communities, in marginalized communities, and then further othering outside of the community that makes it even worse to get to any true equity, which is just a wild to me. And it's just like, I was studying a while ago about race and ethnicity and how they were saying race is a human construct, but ethnicity is very real. And I think folks are very stuck on that because they think things are one way, but it's really a whole nother way. And it's all because of white supremacy. Yeah. And folks don't make that connection. They don't make that connection at all. Like that's where ableism is coming from, y'all. Sorry. Hate to break it to you. Um, so how do you think we can get a I mean, I don't know if I'm being too Pollyanna. Maybe we can get away from it. But how do we build better community to recognize where we can step up for those who can't step up for themselves and support those who can't necessarily support themselves, but also handle the people who are saying some of these really messed up things? I
I
know that's a
think
big question.
yeah, I mean, I'll try to answer it the best way that I can. I think that there should be more education around disability, especially in the workplace, because yeah, we are required to do like trainings here and there, like especially when you first start a job, but that's nothing compared to like what really needs to be taught in terms of like disability or other identities, especially if it's like intersectional identities, because there's just I think, like, a lot of times these organizations, especially, like, maybe social work settings, they focus so much on the importance of being culturally sensitive and aware of things, and yet they leave disability out of that. And that is not right because I'm sure you have heard, and maybe whoever is listening, has heard that disability is the largest population that like minority population that anybody can be a part of at any time. So you just never know who is going to be affected by it and when. So you might as well just educate yourself in like regardless.
No, I totally agree with that. And every time I've brought that up at like workshops or conferences, saying you can join this club at any time, and it's not a threat, y'all. I'm just letting you know how the world works. Like we're all humans. I've never met Superman, so that means Superman don't exist, and that means eventually, if you live long enough, your body is not going to keep functioning the way it was in your younger years. Or you might develop a chronic illness, or you might develop a full on disability, or you might hit by a car. I don't know. Who knows? But it's just hilarious to me that people think that no, 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 I'm gonna be good for. Oh no, oh okay. Well, I got a few bridges to sell you right after we're on our way to Jupiter, on my magic carpet. You know what I mean? Like it's just like y'all say these things that are so wild, so I'm gonna respond in kind with something just as wild, just to show you just how like I mean I wouldn't say it's careless or absent of thought. It's not a thought at all. They don't think about disability at all. So it doesn't even
Hmm.
come up in anything. And that's been my experience with a lot of these folks who are trying to be quote culturally sensitive. They're always leaving disability out. And I'm on a lot of different committees, and in a lot of them, I'm the only one with a disability. Or I'm the only woman of color on the committee. And I'm just like, I don't like this. This is not I shouldn't be the only one. Also, there are over 1 million of us here in New York. So that's so many different kinds of disabled people. You can't just have one disabled person on the team. And sure, I'll speak for people, but like you gotta have some a bit more diversity there. And it's just yeah, wearing that token hat sometimes is a little heavy. So
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware. Yeah. Um so if you could like I mean, this is connected to the last question a little bit. So, like, if you could change anything about the world, like, what would it be and why?
Hmm. I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind is like for the concept of disability to be not so foreign to people. Like, I don't want to say that we should be treated the same as everyone else, because at the end of the day, that's harmful because we are not like everyone else. And, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, we're not less than anybody else. Yeah, because I may have a physical limitation, but like I said, I'm just as qualified to do a social work job as anyone else. So I think like just the cultural norms and like the views that society has on disability should be changed.
I love that you said that. You just you're not less than. You're just different. And oftentimes we're treated as less than rather than just a whole nother person and a whole nother body, just like everybody else, trying to live, trying to cope. And I've encountered this so many times, non-disabled and even sometimes disabled folks, because let's there's some internalized ableism going on in the community sometimes, and people say they say things and sometimes it's like, wait a minute, what did you say? Okay, all right, shoot. But it's just like they think that we're as disabled people. we're only one dimensional. That's all we have about us. And that's all this only thing I'm spending on my time, and that's it. And it's just like, but wait, no, I have so many more things going on in my life beyond my disability, because of my disability, with my disability, in spite of my disability, like all at the same time. And it's so amazing how people won't, it's almost as if they refuse, like their brain won't let them allow disabled people to be multidimensional beings.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why. It's just
Yeah.
wild to me.
I think like what comes to mind is like there's an Instagram page called Disabled and it's like the idea that you don't have to say like, oh, this person is like, I'm disabled despite, no, I'm a social worker despite being disabled. You don't have to say all of that. You could just say I'm disabled and a social worker because it's not unheard of. It's not impossible to be both of those things.
No, I totally agree. Like I was at this I've been dabbling and doing some comedy lately, which has been so exciting for me. And I did my first open mic a couple of weeks ago. And when I tell you, people were stunned that I was getting up there making jokes about being disabled and interacting with people. They laughed, but they were also very stunned that I got up there with my metal legs and just talked about life, and they were like, "Please come back. That was so funny." I'm like, "Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll bring all my disabled friends." But like, also like, it's so it's both rare and not. And so it's just like that's one of the things that I try to do with all the things I do. Try to mesh all these communities together because we have so much more in common than not. And
Hmm.
so we need, in my opinion, we should really be trying to build more community instead of being in all these little silos like we are in the disabled community. The disabilities just click together, understandably so. And also, we need to get out of our little clubs and make a much larger club so that we can actually be organized in case a shitstorm comes, which I kind of think it might be. Just a little bit this year, since
Yeah.
last year was a little, we get a little specks here and there, but now I want to become a little more. So I'm just kind of like, you guys, we need to get organized with ourselves together. Otherwise, there might not be any more of us to do that. So let's
Yeah.
get it together now, because there might not be a later, you know. So
Yeah.
how do you think we can organize people to get out of their silos and start working together?
I mean, I think that like the work that you and I do is like it's it's very important to start that process. And I think that like while yes, there are like so many different uh people that do podcasts or like any type of like awareness, they it should just become a more normal thing where like these people are more easily discovered by the average person and they are able to like pick their brain on topics and like get them to see things in a different way so that they can develop an interest and share that interest with others and then it just continues.
I totally agree with that. And I think connected to that, there's got to be that interest, because I feel like there's so many people that I try to talk to about this. Like the last couple years, I've been going to all these random tech events just to meet new people and like get more information about how to get them to hire more folks with disabilities. Um, and so many of those events, I was the only one with a disability in the rooms, and they were so maybe borderline weirded out that I was there. They were just a little like, "Oh, what are you doing here? Oh, you want it to be accessible? Oh, what even is access? Like what? What?" It was very weird. But it was also a great learning experience to show me that I'm gonna need to take a step back and see first how could I help them to support us better rather than jumping into the events and be like, access now. They're not gonna respond to that. But I can say, hey, y'all thinking about hiring some folks with disabilities? I can help y'all out with that. Here's some tips and tricks, or here's some resources, or here's some something, because it was just very weird. And I don't like going to a place and feeling weird. Like I want to feel welcomed and included and listened to. And I know other folks want the same thing. So yeah, it'll be a little bit of an uphill battle, but I feel like it's worth it because, you know, if we want to create equity in every community, in every kind of job market, every kind of, every place, then it's going to take some working together to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
yeah, totally. Um, Also, have you noticed any more like and this is like sort of connected with your schooling and with your work stuff, but just in your life in general, um, have you, I'm sure you have experienced people being very weird or asking weird questions or saying strange things to you. What have those experiences been like, and how have you handled that?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in the space where I have my website and Instagram, that's like the perfect place to be weird. Like people are immediately like, "Oh, how do do, they don't even want to say what they mean by that." And I'm just like, "Why are you interested in in me or something? Like why do you need to know that?" And it's just like a chance to kind of like you can either take it in like an angry perspective, like which is understandable, but it's also like not productive to educate a person if you're so angry about it. So, like, I'm a firm believer that, like, especially in the work that I do as a social worker, that the way you word things makes a huge difference. If you're very accusatory or like angry sounding, people are not going to be receptive to what you have to say. So, like, I think that being disabled, like, I guess it requires, in a way, like, us to be patient with people because of the ignorance and, like, the lack of understanding of the things that we experience.
Yes, I have had to be incredibly patient with folks, especially random strangers who love to walk up to me on the street, which happens every time I leave my house. And it sometimes it depends on my mood for the day. So I'm like, okay, you might get nice, sweet, politey man, or you might get a little spiciness, and I might throw some habaneros up in there. Cause sometimes I'm like, you guys, my fatigue has me literally dragging my body across the ground. My body hurts so bad. And then you want to tell me about your cousin's uncle, sister's friend who had a broken toe one time. You think your broken toe has anything to do with my one leg and no knee? What? I okay. And it's wild things like that that just crack me up.
I
Um,
think that
mhm.
people try so hard to find a way to relate to us, but they don't recognize that what they're doing is not helpful.
And I think that like this is why I wish I could do my allyship 101 training like globally so that people could see it, because I talk about that you don't have to have personal understanding or experience with something to have empathy for someone. Like, you don't have to have gone through it to say, "Oh, snap, that looks like that sucks. I'm sorry." Is there anything I can help you with? Like, you don't have to have gone through like I have, but I think our we have a tendency as humans to be like, "Ooh, I need to relate with you on such a level that's like," it's like, no, no, that allyship doesn't require for you to understand what I'm going through personally. All it requires is for you to use the power that you have that I don't to just help me out a little bit as a community, y'all. There you go. Y'all got a little bit of a allyship 101. It's that simple. And I feel like some people make it so hard and so complicated. And then you hear about the mother's, sister's, cousin's, uncle's broken toe all the time, and they're thinking that that's okay to say to someone who's a double amputee. And it's like, no, you don't know how this feels. Now, if I chopped your leg off, then you would know, but I'm not gonna do that. So it's just like, come on, you guys. It's just so hilarious and so wild, and I'll most of the time, all I can do is respond in a smart ass way because it's so funny to me, and I'm just like, sometimes I'll go out with friends and we'll be at a bar, and people say the hilarious things to me, and I'm just kind of like, you guys, I just want to hang out with my friends and have a drink. And you coming up all up in here, it's just funny. All I can do is laugh at it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's either you get consumed by it, which some days it's hard. It's like you said, it depends on your mood. Like some days I myself, like I have zero patience sometimes for people's nonsense, and I'm just like, what are you looking at? Why are you treating me differently? Like, stop, enough. And then other days I'm patient enough to like explain things if asked, or like I don't know, just be like a reasonable person about it. But I don't know.
And that goes into the whole dynamicness of disability. Like sometimes we'll have that patience, and sometimes it's like, fuck out my face. Why are you talking to me like that? Sorry about the sirens. I don't know if you can hear them. And it's just wild. Some people are just hilarious. But I've also noticed that there's zero consent when you have a disability. People automatically assume that you are open no matter what to talk to them, to have them touch you, to have them come close to you, all and like that. And like sometimes I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't mind. But sometimes it's like, why are you that close to me?
Hmm.
Why are you, stranger, putting your hands on me? Like, don't do that. So that's a word to the wise, y'all. Don't go up and touch any stranger, anybody, disability or not. Don't just go touching people. Ask first. It's okay. That's what consent's about. Asking. So have you
Yeah.
had that? I'm sure you have had that happen where random people are coming up to you, wanting to pray over you or touch you or move your wheelchair or something else, some other shenanigans.
Yeah, and like from a mental health perspective, because I have anxiety and depression, which is pretty common among the disability population. However, it doesn't necessarily need to be associated with the disability, but people have trauma. So you don't, it's not okay to just randomly touch a person or move their chair. And like when I'm in like sometimes survival mode, like or like fight or flight response, where I'm the second somebody does something like that, I freak out. I thought somebody just like tried to kidnap me or something. Like you just never know. And the fact that people think that we don't need to give consent about these things is ridiculous, because like it implies that we don't have a say in anything, and that is not okay.
I'm so, so, so glad you brought that up because so many people love to disconnect physical health and mental health. And then they automatically assume that if you have a physical disability or even an invisible one, because I've got my lupus tucked away inside my body, but it's made all these external things happen. And they think, oh, I'm having depression and anxiety. Because I was also recently diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety. And I was like, oh gosh, is that why I've been all jacked up all these years? I mean, I've just been going with the motions and doing my things. And I'm like, yeah, and you were masking and you still are. And I'm like, oh damn, call me out. Shit. But like people automatically assume that I'm depressed because I'm disabled. And it's like, no, you guys. No, no, no. That's not that. I mean, that is a thing for some people. But no, no, I'm actually depressed because capitalism is crushing me slowly. I'm actually depressed because the world is very inaccessible. I'm actually depressed because we're there's so much wild, wild crap going on around the world, and we're still expected to show up like nothing is wrong and nothing is happening. And when you're part of the marginalized communities, and you've got the country that you're living in going in and bombing other countries where you're from, or your friends are from, or your family is from, it's kind of difficult to like be in the database and doing the things, or calling the people. And it's a very wild juxtaposition to be in. Say, oh damn, like here I am being made immobile, sort of, by all the things going on in the world because of my depression, but I do want to help the people, but also knowing, "Oh gosh, I need to help myself too." So I'm so glad that you brought it up because so many people love to keep them very separate. And I think sometimes they do it because they don't want us to actually recognize that we have more in common than not, and that
Yeah.
we should be working together. Um, so from your perspective as a disabled woman and a social worker, how do you think that we can bridge that divide some more between the physical disabilities and invisible disabilities and then mental health disabilities, and try to bring us together to, I don't know, do something more in our community?
Um, I think that like it something that I was thinking about earlier is that like people should be taught about things like disability as well as mental health conditions from when they're younger, like in school age children, because it can affect a person at any time. And like whether it is a physical condition or a mental health condition. Um, and even if it doesn't affect you directly, it's like you said, it doesn't have to happen to you for you to have empathy about it. And it's important to learn how to communicate to people, like, yeah, like with people in those situations and not be so awkward about it. Um, I I feel like I don't know, is that answering your question? Because I feel like I want to go on like a whole tangent, but like
No,
I'm
no, I
stopping
love that, and I
myself.
think you did, but you can totally go on a tangent. I love tangents so much. I probably love them a little too much because as you could tell by this episode, I go on tangents all the time because I drink my coffee. I am once my brain fog, like, and my fatigue calmed down a little bit, then I'm like, tangent, tangent, tangent. So please do, and I wish that there were more ways that we could have these conversations in ways that, like, oh yes, this is a wonderful conversation. Now let me bust out my notebook and write some action items down. But I feel like capitalism makes us so exhausted with all the things that we have to do, and then there's no time after to organize in the community to get us to do the thing. I see there I went going on a tangent. You can finish your tangent. Yes.
Yeah, no, I think that like it's true that a lot of people think it's the disability itself that makes us depressed, but no, it's the inaccessibility of the world that we live in. It's the um societal views on disability that make us depressed. Like it's so many other things aside from the disability itself. Although yes, at times we do have our own views. Like some days are harder than others. Like no matter what your condition is, sometimes I'll admit that I hate my disability. I hate the chronic pain. I hate the things that come along with it, like the hospital stays and all of that. But at the end of the day, I would not change it for anything because at the other side of it, like a lot of times we live a better life than the average person because we have more of a chance to connect with others than the average person does. Like, our struggles, as annoying as they can be, they can allow for a community of people who share those experiences.
And I love that you said that because that shows once again that there is a dynamicness in how we're feeling these disabilities. Like, all while I can have, all this disability pride about the different things that I'm involved in because of my disability, it also annoys the hell out of me that I'm in pain all the time, that my energy levels are never where, and some people don't believe me. They're like, "You can't have chronic fatigue. You always show up all pumped up and ready to go." And it's like, that's because I wake up real early, I drink enough coffee to caffeinate an elephant, and then and then I walk around a bit to get my adrenaline up.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always happen, and sometimes I show up and I'm literally like, I feel like my walker's doing the walking and just dragging me behind it because I'm so exhausted. But they see the things that I'm doing, and they can't believe that I'm doing all these things while also feeling all these things. And it's just like, well, you guys, the fire inside me for justice is so loud and bright that it's pushing through the pain, pushing through the fatigue, because I recognize that we need to change some shit in the world, and it's got to happen. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that you brought it up, that we can have these very um I guess complex relationships with ourselves as disabled women, like feeling the things that are going on in our body while having pride about our body, while navigating a world that was not designed for us, that's very inaccessible, while trying to hold on to our sanity through all of it. And then, oh, and then you got to take a shower and clean your house and cook food and all that. It's a whole yeah, no, it's a whole bunch of shenanigans. Um, so I'm gonna take a little shift. So what is something that makes you really happy and makes you feel joy?
Um, I think I think social connections make me really happy because it's very easy to, even though I have always considered myself to be an introvert, like, it's very easy to get so stuck in your head when you deal with multiple conditions and like you start to feel alone regardless of knowing that you are not alone. So like having connections with people and recognizing that you have so much support out there, even when your brain might tell you that, like, oh, nobody understands. Like, people do understand. You just have to find the right people.
I love that so much. Like, I've been going to a lot of workshops about how trauma rewires the brain and how the trauma can happen in a heartbeat, but repairing the trauma takes years and years and years, which is so wild to me because I'm like, wait, what? What? No, why? How is this something could happen that fast, but it takes forever to fix? But that's the brain. That's just the way the brain is. So I really love that you brought that up because I feel like sometimes that internal ableism is so loud in people's heads and they can't get to the point of like not even like pure joy and pure happiness, but just being like content. And I've met so many people, they see the outside exterior and they think that I've got all my shit together. And I'm just like, "Oh, I don't." Like, I'm so glad I look that way, but that ain't the case. But it's just a matter of, I do believe that sometimes faking the funk does help. It does work a little bit because it's like sort of rewire trying to help to rewire the brain, but it takes so much time. So I am so glad that you brought that up with community because I wish there was more community around even whether it's big things or little things, because I feel like it's very important for a lot of us, like, just to have people around because we aren't alone, and there are resources, and there is help, and there is support. There's literally a group for everything. So y'all go out and find your group. Go on Meetup, go on Eventbrite, and or just do a general search online. There's so many different groups to hang out with, and so many different people to meet. And some of them don't cost any money. So you don't even have that excuse. If it's not costing you money and it's online and you can go and meet people, go on and do it, yo. You owe it to yourself. Like, I love you, you love you. That's it. There you go. So I guess the last question is gonna be, what do you have coming up? So we just started the new year. So January, oh, last year went by so fast, and I was like, wow, how did the year just zoom down by? Um, so do you have any things that you are looking forward to doing this year that you'd like to share with folks?
Yeah, I mean, I have two things that come to mind. Like I'm conducting interviews with people myself, that will be up on my website, as I'm able to edit them or get somebody to edit them. Um, and I also at the end of last year, I registered Sexy Disabled Folks as a small business. So I am working on trying to get merch and things going in regards to that. So that's exciting.
Ooh, that is so exciting. So, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to have had you on. So, I'm going to put all these different ways to find you in the show notes so people can see how to reach out. We'll put your website link up on there and your Instagram. And how else can people reach out to you in case they want to buy something or have you speak or just get to know you?
Yeah. So a lot of the links can be found on my Instagram as well as I think the website, but I am still in the process of editing that. So I have I think like the best way is to find the links through the Instagram. And I have a Facebook page, but I'm not very active on there because I mean most people aren't active on Facebook. Um, but I also have an email address, and I don't know if it is set up yet, but I am thinking of creating a mailing list, to make sure people are up to date, with what's going on in my work.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to put all that stuff in the show notes so people can reach out to you because I'm sure folks would love to see some of that merch. And I'm going to be looking out for that too because I want to get a cute little t-shirt or some earrings, a little headband, something so I can show my support because I think that's so awesome. And I love that you created a business, which is so great. And I feel like sometimes in this community, we're sort of forced to create multiple streams of income so that we don't lose our housing or can't feed ourselves. So I feel you
Yes.
so hard. So that's what's up. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you.
Thanks so
Um
much for having me. This was fun.
yes. Oh, I'm so glad. So yeah, that's it. So I'll see y'all soon and keep watching and stay awesome. Bye y'all.